we are starting off today with the amazing Sunday night game between the Chiefs and the Ravens, which ended with the Ravens coming out on top 36-35.
Yeah, so this game was definitely an early classic for this season. This is one where I called the Ravens over the Chiefs. I thought Lamar would finally get his big win over Patrick Mahomes and company. And it came, and it definitely came in a struggle. It wasn't an easy win. As you could see, 36-35, that is a tough score. It was a tough game with a lot of excitement defensively and offensively. Lamar himself goes off for 18 for 26, 239 yards, throws one touchdown and 2 interceptions, but adds in 106 rushing yards with 2 rushing touchdowns and does not fumble. And then more offensive production for the Ravens. Latavius Murray comes in and gets a rushing touchdown, and Marquise Brown gets a touchdown as well as 113 yards. And he had this really good touchdown catch off of a jump pass that Lamar threw. So I mean, it's just amazing to see. And Tavon Young for the Ravens picks off Pat Mahomes, and then Devin Duvernay and Odafe Owe both recover some fumbles for the Ravens to try to help keep them in the game.
Yeah, so I did pick the Chiefs. Going into this game, I thought the Chiefs would win this one, but it could have gone either way, and it went the Ravens' way. So I'm happy for Lamar after week 1 when they lost that game to the Raiders in overtime. Ravens got a lot of criticism for that. So I picked the Chiefs, but that doesn't mean I was rooting for the Chiefs necessarily. So happy for Lamar. When he threw those, that first pick, which was a pick 6, I'm like, oh my God. That is not a good start to this game. You threw a pick 6 in the first few plays. But to be fair, the receiver fell down, and I assume Lamar was expecting him to be standing up, and he threw it right to the house for Tyrann Mathieu, and they're already down 7, when they're getting ready to start. And then that second interception, that was definitely all Lamar. He has to make better decisions than that. It was pretty much triple coverage. I know he was trying to get into the end zone. And I noticed whenever Lamar is inaccurate, it's generally an overthrow, like when he's trying to throw it over the top like that. And I don't know what it is, but he'll just back up and just sling it down the field. And it'll be way over the receiver. In this instance, he was triple covered, and Tyrann Mathieu made a pretty good jump to get the pick there. But those 2 picks didn't stop him, because from there he was pretty accurate. He did have a passing touchdown to Hollywood Brown on that little jump pass. That was nice. And of course, he ran for over 100 yards, 2 touchdowns as well. And more importantly, he did hold on to the ball. Overall, the Ravens running offense was great, considering the fact that they lost, so many running backs in the offseason training camp due to injury. They bring in Ty'Son Williams, Latavius Murray over from the Saints, among others, and they look pretty fine. Ty'Son Williams with 77 yards after he had a pretty good game against the Raiders. Latavius Murray, like you said, he ran for a touchdown, and Lamar, of course, with 2 touchdowns himself. I don't really understand a lot of the criticism of the Ravens as far as their offensive scheme goes. If it works, it works. You said for past 2 years now, oh, they'll figure out Lamar, they'll figure out this offense, he can't pass. And that's just literally untrue. He has to be more accurate, as I mentioned, especially on throws where you're trying to throw it all the way downfield to get a touchdown, and you're throwing in the triple coverage. You can't do that. So it's really, for me, more of the decision making rather than him not being able to throw. The idea that he can't read a coverage or something like that, that's just stupid. He makes bad decisions sometimes, but he can read a coverage. He can read a defense. He's not an idiot, all right? So dispelling that, he played well from the rest of the game after that. The Ravens defense at points definitely looked like they were trying to give it away, but they got a pick off of Pat Mahomes. That play was just stupid by Mahomes. I'm not really sure why he feels like he has to get a home run on every single play. He should have just taken the sack there. And at that point, you can kind of feel the momentum shifting over to Baltimore after they got the pick. And then, of course, at the end of the game, they got that fumble. And a few plays later, they go for it on 4th down. Get it? That seals the win. So despite struggling pretty early on, they were able to stay in the game with the Chiefs and being the fact that the Chiefs is obviously probably the most high-powered offense in the league, other than the Bucks, and they were able to keep up with them. Get turnovers of their own, and eventually clamp down on defense. So you have to give credit to Lamar, the coaching staff, and everybody all around on the Ravens.
Yeah, this game I think shows off two things that are very important for the outlook on this season. And it's not that the Ravens are necessarily better than the Chiefs, but it shows the resiliency of the Ravens, especially Lamar Jackson. I mean, uh, Harbaugh asked him at the end of that game, do you want to go for this on fourth down? He said yes, so he got it, and they seal the game. But yeah, I mean, they started not so great. They come back, they climb out, and what the other thing it shows is that the Chiefs, despite how high powered their offense are not unstoppable. I mean, we know this, of course, they just lost in the Super Bowl. But a lot of people, when you see this offense, they think that they have a huge chance of winning pretty much every game they go against. But teams can stay right up to pace with them. I mean, it's hard. It's definitely tough. But there are certain teams that can really kind of come in. And as long as you apply enough defensive pressure, you can kind of stay in the ring with Mahomes. I mean, one big thing for the Ravens here is they let Travis Kelce go off. I mean, they let Byron Pringle have some big moments, but they kept Tyreek Hill down, and that's another big thing, right? So you take away that infamous target of, I mean, he's going to sling it downfield and Tyreek will be there. So that you remove that, you kind of they removed Tyreek Hill from the game almost entirely, really. And I mean, the Chiefs didn't play bad, right? They put 35 up, they only lost by 1. There's just a few things that they could have probably done a little different. That interception by Patrick was confusing. I don't know what he was going for there. And then, of course, fumbling at that point in the game, it's over. So you got to make some better decisions. We know the Chiefs aren't a bad team. This does not mean that the Chiefs season is over, but it does show that when they match up with an opponent as tough as the Ravens, they can come down, and sometimes they will.
Yeah, what happened in the Super Bowl to the Chiefs probably will not happen again for a long time. Even if the Chiefs were to play the Bucks again at some point in the near future, while Tom Brady's still there, I don't think that will happen. Being that they beat up their offensive line, and the team blows you out like that, like it's not going to happen again generally. But like you said, I mean, being able to put pressure on them and at least try to keep the offense in the game by being good on defense. They did have defensive lapses. Travis Kelce, his touchdown run was just foolishness. He had no business even getting in the end zone on that play. And same with Byron Pringle. So watching those plays, I was like, all right, the Ravens are really going to screw this up. But then they come back, get that pick from Mahomes off of a decision from Mahomes that we see him make throws like that all the time, but I don't think he would really make that bad of a decision usually. So that's not something we're going to see from Mahomes again, but nonetheless, they got that pick. And then the fumble at the end of the game, it looked pretty cliche. It was like, all right, the Chiefs got the ball back because the Ravens left too much time on the clock. They couldn't convert two 2-point conversions, even though the second time around, that was a bogus penalty to me. But regardless, they couldn't convert those 2-point conversions. So Chiefs get the ball back. You give Mahomes so much time with this offense, and they're going to drive down. They get down inside, like past the 40, like very fast. And I'm like, all right, they're going to run out the clock. The Ravens can't do nothing except force a turnover. Boom. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, great running back. He's probably going to have an amazing sophomore year, but you cannot fumble there. That is the one time you literally cannot fumble. They give the ball to the Ravens. And you mentioned it, John Harbaugh, trusting Lamar. He asked Lamar, yo, you want to go for it? He said, yeah, let's go. And I'm like, cool. When you have that much trust in your quarterback, then heck, I mean, you can do anything, honestly. John Harbaugh is a guy that's been in this league for a while. He's obviously won a Super Bowl back in 2013 with Joe Flacco. And if John Harbaugh trusts you at this point, Lamar's only been the starter. This is his third full season at this point. Then I think that should be more, that should be something that said more about Lamar than the whole he can't pass thing. So the fact that you trust Lamar to be able to get that first down on fourth down, because if they gave the ball back to the Chiefs, it would have been over. So you put the ball in his hands for the game, and he delivered. That's pretty much what you expect out of your franchise QB. The accuracy, again, the overthrows, that's something you can work on. And the decision making is something that he can learn. It's not as if they don't win the Super Bowl this year, like, oh, you're going to cut Lamar or something. Like, no, relax. So there are things they can work on. The fact that he didn't fumble, like I said, that's good. And if the rushing can keep up at this same pace, I think the Ravens will definitely be back in the playoffs for sure, and maybe they can go a little bit further this time around. And as we said with the Browns and Chiefs last week, this might be a matchup we'll see later on in January.
Yeah, seeing this matchup in the playoffs would be quite entertaining. I think either way, especially, I mean, the Browns or the Browns or the Ravens facing the Chiefs would be a fun game, especially under the playoff pressure, and it would really kind of show the teams in a different light. We know that teams are not the same in the regular season that they are in the playoffs, so be interesting to see this matchup in the playoffs. I think I'd be more interested to see the Ravens face the Chiefs than I would the Browns. Not that I don't want to see the Browns, but I think this kind of Lamar Patrick Mahomes rivalry has been created, and I mean I won't lie, it is interesting to bite into.